In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 7 hard skills that pay off. Let's get straight into it. My first tip is going to be pre-firing. Pre-firing is a mechanical skill that you can actually get and learn very easily, but it's a bit hard to implement and when you use it. As you're peeking, instead of peeking and then shooting once you react to somebody being there. Most people will lean into something, then see the opponent, then shoot them. What pre-firing does is it eliminates the human aspect and the reaction time of it, and you just shoot where you think they are to get maybe a lucky kill so that you're in the gunfight faster and the opponents don't have time to react to you. Pre-firing is especially common whenever you have common angles that you know defenders commonly sit. You can just pre-fire them while they're there instead of peeking to see if they're there and then shooting them and running the risk of them seeing you peek them and them shooting you back. Pre-firing is a very useful skill because it gives you an edge on an enemy. If they don't know you're there, you're already shooting as you're peeking, so they don't have time to react to you and you might get a lucky kill. It's something that's extremely common in the higher level of play because the more you play the game, the more you learn the game. You start to learn where players commonly sit, whether it be on attack or defense. You typically pre-fire through walls, through doorways, through windows, through head holes, or just anywhere that you have information on where a defender might be or an attacker might be pushing from. Coming into my number 2 spot is going to be bandit tricking. Now, bandit tricking is an extremely useful skill that you need to learn this season. The reason for this being is because of EMP grenades. Because of EMP grenades, people are banning Thatcher a lot less, meaning people are playing Thatcher a lot more. And if people are banning Thatcher, it doesn't matter because people have EMP grenades. Because of this, bandit is the best operator to keep walls closed reliably because you're able to bandit trick walls. If you don't know how to bandit trick, you essentially put 2 bandits on each one of the walls that you're tricking, and then you sit in the middle of the wall and you place a bandit charge on either one of the walls that you hear them placing a hard breaching charge. This goes for Thermite, Ace, Hibana, or just anybody with the actual secondary gadget hard breaching charges. They can all be bandit tricked. The hardest operator to bandit trick, however, is actually Ace because his explosives explode very quickly and he can put multiple Ace charges on a wall at once. But other than that, it's actually pretty easy to bandit trick if you know what you're doing. Something that actually makes it a lot easier to bandit trick is being able to hear which side of the wall they're placing the charge on. To make bandit tricking easier on yourself, you can actually shoot holes in the soft wall before you reinforce it, or punch holes into the wall for that matter. What this does is it allows sound to easily pass through the wall so that you can hear which side of the wall the Thermite's placing his gadget on, or the Hibana or the Ace, whatever, and it allows you to bandit trick easier. Also, you can use a solis on your team to just tell you which side of the wall they're placing the gadget on, so you don't even need to worry about hearing it. But either way, bandit is the only reliable source if you know how to bandit trick to keep walls closed in this meta because of EMP grenades, and that's why you need to learn how to bandit trick properly. Coming into my number 3 spot is going to be impact tricking. Impact tricking is something that's a bit underrated and underutilized, but it's something that can easily keep walls closed, especially with the EMP meta that we're in, like I just described. A great example of a map that you can use impact tricking to its fullest in is Villa. On every single wall in Villa, every single one, you can impact trick. Impact tricking essentially is where you reinforce a wall, you shoot above the wall with a shotgun, and you throw an impact through the hole that you made with the shotgun on the other side, hitting the ceiling above the wall, which in turn will destroy any hard breach on the wall. So let's say a Thermite puts a Thermite charge on the actual wall, you would throw your impact through the hole that you made on the other side of the wall, and it would destroy the Thermite charge before he has time to blow up the wall. So if you don't have anything that's actually able to keep the wall closed, you don't have a Cade, you don't have a bandit, or you're just waiting for them to get destroyed, you can use impact tricking to its fullest potential. Also, being that you have 2 impacts, you can actually get both Thermites on the wall, making it a very useful alternative to bandit tricking. Coming into my number 4 spot is going to be droning properly. Now, this is a pretty common tip that you'll see in a lot of tip videos, but it's something that is not really appreciated as much as it should be. Drones are a great tool that gives attackers the upper edge in gunfights where they normally wouldn't have it. As attackers, you have to go to defenders and challenge their angles with almost little to no information unless you have an operator that gives you information. The only thing that can give you an advantage in the way that this game works is by using your drones or using information in general to get the edge in a gunfight. Droning is a great way to do this. Not only should you just be droning people in general, but you need to be droning people effectively. The way you do this is you don't waste your drones in prep phase. You can either save your drones or put your drones in very smart places to where they actually watch flanks or they watch the objective in general, but they're not easily shootable and they're not easily findable by the defenders. You can set up drones like cameras and use information with them, or you can use drones to drone yourself into places that you're probably going to push in order to make sure that there's no defenders sitting there. If there is defenders there, then you have information on them and they don't know where you are, and that's a very big advantage. If you have information on somebody with a drone, you can easily pre-fire them, like we talked about in our first tip, where you shoot where you know they are without having to actually react to where they are by seeing them, and it's something that could actually separate either winning or losing a gunfight, and that's why droning properly is so important. important. Also in the prep phase, whenever you're trying to find a good camera spot for your drone, if you're not saving it in spawn, which is also something that I recommend you could do, you need to be utilizing the fact that the drones can jump to their fullest advantage by hiding them on top of shelves, in between or behind bookcases, under desks, stuff like that. But you need to be able to use the fact that it jumps to get in new places you wouldn't have been able to get before. There's also hidden drone holes all throughout every single map that I'll put on screen right now that are great examples of where you can use drones to get free intel on the objective or near the objective where you know defenders probably are going to be. If you use your first drone to get information on somebody that you know where they are and you're going to push them, you can easily get a kill based off of that information like I was just talking about earlier. And if you save your second drone to also drone out an enemy that you could potentially kill and get information on, but using your drones to get kills is something that's very important. Coming into my number 5 spot is going to be head clearing. Now, if you didn't utilize your drones properly, they got destroyed, whatever it may be, head clearing is the next best thing that can safely get you information on where defenders might be, or attackers for that matter, if you're roaming, so that you can get easier gunfights and pre-fire the enemies that you have information on. Head clearing, if you don't know, essentially is just going into a room and quick leaning around a door, a wall, a window, wherever you're entering from, to all of the common angles in the room to make sure there's not a defender sitting there. If you quick lean properly and you look at every single angle in the room that you're clearing, and you look at every single possible angle in the room that you're clearing or the area that you're clearing, whatever, it's a great way to get information while you quick lean so that you can pre-fire whenever you have the information on a player to get an easier gunfight. Also, something that I recommend doing is if you do head clear and you quick lean around the door, wall, window, whatever you may be doing, and you see the defender see you, or you know the defender has info on you, what I would do is if you quick leaned standing, I would then re-peek crouched and then shoot them so that they don't actually pre-fire you whenever you try to go in for the kill. Or vice versa, if you're quick leaning and trying to head clear crouched, I would then stand once you're actually going in for the kill so that they don't pre-fire your head whenever you're crouched because they saw you quick leaning. Either way, switching the levels whenever you're head clearing is something that makes head clearing a lot more efficient when you actually do go in for the kill that head clearing provides with its information. Coming into my next tip is going to be learning vertical play. Now, if you don't know how to play vertically, I'll essentially explain to you what it is. Playing vertically is using breaching charges, buck, or sledge to play above the site or below the site for that matter to be able to shoot people through the ceiling or the floor to establish control for your teammates. So a great example would be kitchen and cafe. Now, kitchen is actually very hard to attack for people who are taking bakery, opening the wall, and then just trying to plant inside of kitchen. But if you as a buck or a sledge player or just anybody with breach charges in general goes above kitchen and mining, train, or dining room upstairs, you can actually breach the floor below you and get a lot of free angles into anybody that's sitting in kitchen or sitting behind kitchen for that matter, so that if they try to contest your people that are walking in and trying to plant, they have a much harder time doing so, and you can actually get some free kills in the process. If you use vertical control to its highest potential, you can not only establish a lot of control, but you can also get a lot of free kills like I just said earlier. In the higher elo that you go whenever you're actually playing vertical, most of the time the defenders are just going to run away from whatever you're playing, right? So if you buck above the kitchen, most of the time in the higher elo, they're just going to run out of kitchen. So you can use vertical play as a great way to just flush out defenders and control where they are and where they're moving to, so that your teammates, again, that are in bakery have an easier time getting the wall open, getting in sight, getting the bomb down, etc. Another tip that I can give you for playing vertical as well is you want to make all of the holes that you're going to use for vertical play before you peek any of them. Because if you just sledge a hole in the ground, or you buck a hole in the ground, or you breach a hole in the ground, whatever it may be, if you immediately peek it, they're all going to have their guns up to that hole. But if you make 7 or 8 holes, they don't know which hole you're going to peek from. So a lot of the times they'll just get too scared to peek any of them and they'll just leave. So that's what you need to be doing. You need to make a bunch of holes very quickly, far away from each other in quick succession, so that they don't try to peek you and they don't know where you are, so that when you do peek the holes, there's not a high chance that they'll be having their gun up at the right hole and you could get a free kill. So playing vert correctly in that sort of way is what's going to get you a lot of free round wins. Now, a way on defense that you can counter this is by roaming properly, which is going to be our last tip. Now, roaming properly is something that a lot of people think they do well, but they don't actually do well. As a roamer, your job is not to get kills. Your job is to waste time for the attackers. If you can waste 1.5 to 2 minutes of the attacker's time so that they only have 1 minute to 30 seconds to actually use their utility, get the bomb on site, get all the kills they need, and then back up, that is amazing. And that's very hard for attackers to do if they have a very limited time source. But if you're a roamer and you get 1 kill, but you die within the first 30 seconds or the minute of the round, you roaming and getting that kill didn't matter, because then they have all of upstairs, they have all of the roamed clear that they need to be able to execute on site, and you're giving them a lot more time to get utility cleared, get shields cleared, get walls opened, and you're giving them a lot more time to kill your anchors that are on site than they normally would have had if you would have just wasted more time. So as a roamer, start playing a lot more passively, and if they drone you a lot and they have people actively trying to clear you out, give them control, but still establish control by pre-firing, by leaving but still shooting random walls so they don't know where you are, by having silencers on, by playing people like Vigil and Mozzie so they don't have information on you, so it's harder for them to clear you out, stuff like that. If you're still kind of applying ghost pressure and you're still kind of making your presence known, but you're not dying and you're playing passively, that wastes so much time, and you do your job so much better as a roamer than you would if you were to just spawn peek and get a kill and then die within the first 30 seconds, and all of that control that you could have had and wasted for the attackers, they just get for free, and they have so much time to execute on site. So just to recap, as a roamer, the best thing you can do is to waste time and to not try to get kills. I cannot stress that enough. But with all of those tips out the way, that's pretty much it for the entire video. If you want to get better at the game of Rainbow Six Siege, this channel posts educational Siege content all the time. If you want to see more of me and my channel, my name's Alka. I'm linked in the description of the video. And with that out of the way, that's it for the entire video. Like the video if you liked it. Again, my name's Alka, and I will see you in the next one. Later.